Forests and woodlands offer more than just scenic beauty and peaceful shade. Beneath the canopy, among the leaf litter and dappled sunlight, grow a surprising number of edible wild plants that have sustained people for centuries. Learning to identify these plants can deepen your connection to nature and expand your understanding of the forest ecosystem. However, proper identification is essential, as is knowing how to harvest and prepare each species safely. In this video, we'll explore 5 edible plants commonly found in woodland environments, and the last one might surprise you with just how nutritious it truly is. Number 1. Wood sorrel. Next, let's begin with one of the most widespread and easily recognized edible plants in woodland settings: wood sorrel. This low-growing plant often carpets shaded forest floors, forming dense patches that can cover several square feet. Wood sorrel belongs to the genus Oxalis, and while several species exist across different regions, they share similar characteristics that make identification straightforward for beginners. The most distinctive feature of wood sorrel is its leaves, which consist of 3 heart-shaped leaflets arranged in a clover-like pattern. These leaflets fold down at night or in bright sunlight, reopening when conditions become favorable again. This folding behavior is called nyctinasty and helps the plant conserve moisture. The leaves are typically bright green, though some species may show purple undersides or stems. The plant produces small, delicate flowers that can be white, yellow, or pink, depending on the species, each with 5 petals and visible veining. What makes wood sorrel particularly appealing to foragers is its pleasant, tangy flavor. When you taste a leaf, you'll immediately notice a refreshing lemony sourness that comes from oxalic acid, the same compound found in spinach and rhubarb. This bright, citrus-like taste makes wood sorrel a popular addition to wild salads, and it can add an interesting dimension to sandwiches or be used as a garnish for various dishes. Some foragers enjoy nibbling on it raw during woodland walks as a natural thirst quencher. The entire plant is edible: leaves, stems, flowers, and even the small seed pods. However, moderation is important when consuming wood sorrel. The oxalic acid that gives it that distinctive sour taste can interfere with calcium absorption when consumed in large quantities over time. For most people, eating small amounts occasionally poses no health concerns, but those with kidney problems or a history of kidney stones should avoid it entirely, as oxalic acid can contribute to stone formation. Wood sorrel is often confused with clover by novice foragers, but the distinction is clear once you know what to look for. Clover leaves are rounded or oval, while wood sorrel leaflets are distinctly heart-shaped, with a noticeable indentation at the tip. Additionally, clover produces round flower heads, whereas wood sorrel has individual 5-petaled flowers. Taking a small taste can also help differentiate them. Clover lacks the sour, lemony flavor characteristic of wood sorrel. This plant thrives in rich, moist woodland soil and is commonly found along forest trails, near stream banks, and in areas with partial shade. It's a cool season plant, most abundant in spring and fall, though it can persist through summer in consistently moist environments. Number 2. Wild garlic. Moving on, we encounter one of the most celebrated wild edibles in North American forests: wild garlic, also known as ramps. This plant has gained significant culinary attention in recent years, featured in restaurants and farmers markets during its brief spring season. Scientifically called Allium trichocum, wild garlic grows in rich, moist, deciduous forests, particularly in areas with deep leaf litter and slightly acidic soil. Wild garlic appears in early spring, often while patches of snow still linger in shaded areas. The plant emerges with broad, smooth leaves that are lance-shaped to elliptical, typically 2 to 3 inches wide and up to 10 inches long. These leaves are a vibrant, glossy green and grow directly from the bulb without a visible stem above ground. The leaves often have a slightly purplish tinge where they meet the white or light purple base near the soil. The most reliable way to identify wild garlic is through smell. When you gently crush or tear a leaf, A strong, unmistakable aroma of garlic and onions fills the air immediately. This distinctive scent is your confirmation that you've found the right plant. Without this smell, you should not harvest the plant, as several toxic woodland plants have similar-looking leaves, including false hellebore and lily of the valley, neither of which has an onion or garlic scent. Both the leaves and the underground bulbs of wild garlic are edible and prized for their pungent, complex flavor. The leaves have a milder taste than the bulbs, while the bulbs themselves deliver an intense garlic-onion punch that's stronger than cultivated garlic. Wild garlic can be used in numerous ways. The leaves can be chopped and added to soups, sautéed with other vegetables, made into pesto, or used to wrap fish before grilling. The bulbs can be roasted, pickled, or used as you would use cultivated garlic in cooking. However, sustainable harvesting is crucial when collecting wild garlic. This plant grows slowly, and overharvesting has led to population declines in some areas. When you find a patch, take only what you need, generally no more than 10% of what you see. If you harvest the bulb, the entire plant is killed, so consider taking only the leaves when possible. The leaves should be harvested before the plant flowers, as they begin to lose flavor and texture afterward. Wild garlic grows in large colonies, often returning to the same locations year after year. These patches are typically found on north-facing slopes, near streams, or in areas with rich, undisturbed forest soil. The plant's growing season is relatively short, usually from early March through May, depending on your latitude and elevation. Number 3. Fiddleheads. Another example of an excellent woodland edible is fiddleheads, the tightly coiled young shoots of certain fern species. These distinctive structures appear in early spring, pushing up through the forest floor as the fern begins its annual growth cycle. The name fiddlehead comes from their resemblance to the decorative scroll at the head of a violin or fiddle. While several fern species produce edible fiddleheads, the ostrich fern is the most commonly harvested and widely considered the safest choice. Ostrich fern fiddleheads emerge from the ground tightly coiled, with a smooth green stem and a covering of papery brown scales that easily rub off. The coil itself is firm and compact, typically 1 to 2 inches in diameter. These fiddleheads grow in clusters near the base of last year's dead fern fronds, which remain standing through winter like brown, feathery plumes. This association with old growth helps with identification, as you can recognize the location of ostrich ferns even before new growth emerges. Fiddleheads are found in damp woodland areas, particularly in rich alluvial soils near streams, rivers, or in low-lying forest floodplains. They prefer partial shade and consistent moisture, thriving in the same conditions that support other moisture-loving woodland plants. The prime harvesting window is narrow, usually just 2 to 3 weeks in spring, when the fiddleheads are tightly coiled and no more than a few inches tall. Once they begin to unfurl and the fronds start to flatten, they become tough, bitter, and should not be eaten. The flavor of properly prepared fiddleheads is often compared to asparagus, with a slightly earthy, nutty undertone and a tender texture when cooked correctly. They're rich in vitamins A and C, as well as omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, making them a nutritious addition to spring meals. However, proper preparation is absolutely essential. Fiddleheads must never be eaten raw, as they contain natural compounds that can cause gastrointestinal distress, including nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. To prepare fiddleheads safely, first remove any remaining brown papery scales by rinsing them thoroughly under cold water. Then boil them in water for at least 10 to 12 minutes, or steam them for 12 to 15 minutes. After cooking, they can be sautéed with butter and garlic, added to stir-fries, tossed with pasta, or included in soups. Some people recommend changing the cooking water partway through boiling as an extra precaution to remove any remaining toxins. When harvesting fiddleheads, sustainable practices are important. Each fern plant produces several fiddleheads each spring, but you should never take all of them from a single plant. Harvest no more than half of the fiddleheads from any one clump, leaving at least 2 or 3 to develop into mature fronds. This ensures the plant can photosynthesize adequately and continue growing for future years. Number 4. Wild violet leaves and flowers. Next, we come to one of the most charming and overlooked edible plants in woodland environments: wild violets. These delicate plants thrive in the dappled shade of forest floors, along woodland edges, and in areas with rich, moist soil. Several species of violets grow throughout North America and Europe, and most are edible, making them an accessible choice for beginning foragers. The common blue violet and the sweet white violet are among the most frequently encountered species. Wild violets are easily recognized by their heart-shaped leaves, which grow on individual stems directly from the plant's base rather than along a central stalk. The leaves have a slightly scalloped or toothed edge and prominent veining that radiates from where the leaf stem attaches. They're typically a deep green color with a smooth, slightly waxy texture. The leaves can range from quite small, about an inch across, to 3 or 4 inches in diameter, depending on growing conditions and the age of the plant. The flowers are equally distinctive, appearing in spring on separate stems from the leaves. Violet flowers have 5 petals arranged in an irregular pattern, with the lower petal often being larger and marked with darker veining that serves as a nectar guide for pollinators. Colors vary by species, but commonly include deep purple, light blue, white, or occasionally yellow. The flowers have a subtle, sweet fragrance and a delicate appearance that makes them a beautiful addition to salads or as a garnish. Both the leaves and flowers of wild violets are completely edible and mild in flavor. The leaves have a slightly mucilaginous quality when chewed, meaning they become somewhat slippery or gel-like, which some people find pleasant in salads while others prefer them cooked. Young leaves are the most tender and can be eaten raw in salads, where they add nutritional value without overwhelming other flavors. Older leaves can be tougher and are better suited to cooking as you would spinach or other greens steamed, sautéed, or added to soups. The flowers are best used fresh and make an attractive, edible decoration for salads, desserts, or cold drinks. They can also be candied by coating them in egg white and sugar, then drying them for use as cake decorations. Some foragers make violet flower syrup or jelly, which captures their delicate color and subtle flavor. Additionally, both flowers and leaves can be dried for use in herbal teas. Wild violets are remarkably nutritious, containing high levels of vitamin C, more than twice the amount found in oranges by weight. They're also a good source of vitamin A and contain beneficial compounds that have been used in traditional herbal medicine for respiratory support. The leaves have a long history of use in folk remedies, though they're primarily valued today as a food source. These plants prefer undisturbed woodland areas with organic rich soil and consistent moisture. You'll often find them forming colonies beneath deciduous trees, especially in areas where the canopy provides filtered sunlight. Violets are perennial plants that return year after year, making them a reliable foraging resource once you've located a good patch. Number 5. Stinging nettle. Finally, we arrive at perhaps the most nutritious and versatile wild edible in woodland environments: stinging nettle. This plant may seem like an unlikely food source given its notorious reputation for causing painful skin irritation, but once properly prepared, nettles transform into one of the most valuable wild greens you can harvest. Scientifically known as Urtica dioica, stinging nettle grows abundantly in forest edges, disturbed woodland areas, along streams, and in shaded spots with rich, nitrogen-rich soil. Stinging nettle is easily identified by its upright growth habit, typically reaching 2 to 6 feet tall, and its distinctive leaves. The leaves are opposite, meaning they grow in pairs along the square stem, and are lance-shaped to heart-shaped with deeply serrated edges. They have prominent veining and a slightly rough texture. The entire plant is covered with tiny hollow hairs called trichomes that break off when touched, injecting a cocktail of chemicals including histamine, acetylcholine, and formic acid into the skin. This causes the characteristic stinging sensation, redness, and itching that can last for hours. Despite this formidable defense mechanism, nettles become completely harmless once cooked, dried, or even thoroughly crushed. The heat from cooking or the mechanical damage from drying destroys the hollow structure of the stinging hairs, rendering them ineffective. This transformation allows you to access one of the most nutrient-dense wild foods available. Nettles are extraordinarily rich in vitamins and minerals, containing high levels of iron, calcium, magnesium, and vitamins A, C, and K. They're also an excellent source of plant-based protein, with dried nettle leaf containing up to 25% protein by weight. The best time to harvest nettles is in early spring, when the plants are young, ideally less than knee-high. At this stage, the leaves are tender and have the mildest flavor. As the season progresses and the plant grows taller, the leaves become tougher and develop a grittier texture from calcium carbonate crystals called cystoliths. Once nettles begin to flower in late spring or summer, they should no longer be harvested for food, as they can become mildly laxative and irritating to the urinary tract. When harvesting, always wear gloves thick rubber, or leather gloves work best, and use scissors or pruning shears to cut the top few inches of the plant, including the growing tip and the first 2 or 3 pairs of leaves. This selective harvesting actually encourages the plant to produce more tender side shoots. Carry the nettles in a bag or basket, being careful not to brush against them with bare skin. Preparation methods for nettles are straightforward. The most common approach is to blanch them in boiling water for 1 to 2 minutes, which completely neutralizes the sting. After blanching, they can be used like spinach in virtually any recipe added to soups, sautéed with garlic and olive oil, blended into pesto, or incorporated into pasta dishes, quiches, or casseroles. Nettles can also be steamed, though this takes slightly longer to neutralize the sting. Another popular preparation is nettle tea, made by steeping fresh or dried leaves in hot water for 10 to 15 minutes, creating a mineral-rich, earthy-flavored beverage. The flavor of cooked nettles is mild and spinach-like, though slightly more earthy and complex. They don't have the bitterness sometimes associated with cultivated greens, making them palatable to most people. Many foragers consider nettles superior to spinach, both nutritionally and in terms of flavor, and they're certainly more sustainable when harvested from wild populations rather than cultivated. Forests and woodlands provide an abundance of edible plants for those who take the time to learn proper identification and sustainable harvesting practices. The 5 plants we've explored today, wood sorrel, wild garlic, fiddleheads, wild violets, and stinging nettle, represent just a small sample of what's available in these ecosystems. Each offers unique flavors and nutritional benefits, and all grow reliably in woodland environments across many regions. Remember that confident identification is essential before consuming any wild plant, and when in doubt, consult multiple reliable field guides or expert foragers. By approaching wild edibles with knowledge, respect, and caution, you can safely enjoy these traditional foods while deepening your connection to the natural world around you.